Welcome back, everybody, to Retroactive. My name's Andrew. We got a big show for you today because, well, it's been like a whole month since we've had a show, so we got a lot to talk about here. Let me go around the panel here and introduce everybody. On my left, your right, probably, is Josh McCoy. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man? All I got to say is the Acolyte is amazing, and I heard Brandon absolutely loves this show right now.
Shut the hell up.
Okay,
Shut the
I
hell up.
haven't seen a single episode.
So good. Best Star
Monument in
Wars
front,
ever.
You know, but I'll eventually get to it.
It's the greatest thing since Darth Jar Jar. And also joining us is the man himself, having been mentioned by Josh, Brandon Jenkins. How you doing, bud?
Good.
Yep, and that's it. That's all he gets to say.
That's
all he gets to say right now.
He's lost for words because of the Acolyte. You can't.
I am. I'm
amazing.
I'm awestruck. That was cinematic masterpiece.
I'm gonna smack the shit out of both of you. All right, and and of course my wife Ashlyn. Hi, babe.
Hello.
She's like, I don't know what to do with this right now.
He's like, I don't know what I walked into. She walked in before the show started.
Boys play nice.
Centipede with the boys.
Forget that. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple of new trailers that dropped. First one we're going to touch on here is the new Nosferatu trailer, which apparently I don't have the photo for, but it's all fine. So Nosferatu, for those that may not know, is like the original horror movie, original vampire, everything like that. Original black and white, I believe, silent film from 100 years ago. So they've decided to remake this film, give it a little bit of a new flair, but kind of you can clearly tell by the trailer that they're trying to keep a lot of the original feel to it as best they can with the updates and obviously with sound now. I don't really know what to think from this trailer because it seems like a very out there, like weird sort of horror film, kind of like a what's the one that did like Hereditary and things like that? That company. It's like one of those movies. I'm sorry, what?
The A24 film.
Thank you, A24. It feels very A24. Now, Josh, you're more of the horror guy than I am. What did you think of this trailer?
I mean, it's no the Acolyte, but I think it looks like a pretty good movie. I'm not that familiar with the character itself. Obviously, I know who it is, but I never really dove deep into that whole world. But I mean, I'll go see it. It looks like a fun time. You know, it's got to be better than the Acolyte.
This is gonna be such a good theme. Good theme for the whole episode.
This is becoming like Civil War all over again. Or not Civil War. What is it?
Secret Wars.
We're gonna have to ban Josh from saying the word Acolyte.
He wants to punch me. I guess.
What would you rather have, him say an Acolyte or Slaughterhouse?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
At this point, it's getting close.
I'm about to get banned from the whole show at this point.
It's getting very close with to the Slaughterhouse level. Ashlyn, what did you think of the Nosferatu trailer?
It's interesting.
And that's our show, folks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I needed to see like a second trailer from it. It's definitely not really my bag as far as, even though I'm like a huge like classic monsters fan, I don't know. It's a very interesting vibe.
Yeah, I do like some of the cast that we have though. You got Willem Dafoe showing up.
Perfect.
I can't remember the actor's name right now, but the guy that played the young version of Beast in X-Men, and he was in Warm Bodies, and Nicholas Hoult, I think is his name.
He's gonna be the new Lex Luthor.
Yes, that guy. He's in it, and they've got a few other people. There's some really decent talent with this. I believe the person that's playing Nosferatu, if I'm not mistaken, is the same guy that did Pennywise. So clearly, we know he can do that.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, Alexander Skarsgård. I believe he's playing the character, so we know he can do a lot, even when he's covered in a lot of prosthetics and makeup and things like that from that performance alone. Brandon, any thoughts on this before we move on?
I think it's cool that they're going back and remaking something that never really had, dialogue and such. So I like it from that standpoint. I don't know too much about this at all to give a really solid opinion. I'm interested to see what all comes about it. All I got out of that trailer was he's coming, and I'm like lit. But it's like it was just that over and over again. So I was like, it's like okay, he's coming, And I guess to somebody who's familiar with it, it would make sense. To me, it doesn't. So it's not something that I'm like really really excited over, but I'm intrigued to know more. So
For
yeah.
sure. One of the things that stood out to me, and this is probably more playing into things from maybe kind of like touching on things from the original film, but someone's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but the part where you see the shadow of the hand going over the town and everything like that, it felt very Tim Burton to me with that. Like, and I know that's not what they're going for at all,
Yeah.
but that just that moment with all the stuff in the hand, like the hand over the face, the hand over the town and everything like that. It just like the way that it's shot from what I can see in the trailer has such a weird flair to it that I just really don't know how to like figure out what's going on or like what direction this film's going to go. So I like Ashlyn said, maybe there'll be another trailer that'll give us a little bit more, but I really feel like this is going to be one of those really niche films, even within horror, that's going to be an interesting watch.
I feel like that man is just stuck playing creatures. I always forget he was actually the bad guy in Eternals. The deviant.
No.
That was the guy who plays Pennywise. That was him.
You're saying he voiced that?
Like, yeah, he
that
was
dark
the
character
deviant that turned into like the human deviant.
Oh,
Like,
okay. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So now I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah, because we would have like never known that was him because of the way that
I didn't know it was
character
either.
looked. Yeah, but to be fair, like you said, he plays these like creature characters a lot. So
it's
like his thing.
He has going on that thing. He just has
Although
that scary look.
Although he's doing The Crow remake, which is apparently already getting terrible reviews. So we're just going to ignore that one. Moving on, we've got another trailer. They dropped trailer 2 for The Penguin. The series continues the story from the Batman with the Matt Reeves Batman specifically. Literally, it looks like it's picking up almost right after the events of the end of the first film, with Penguin trying to take over and gain power with this like power struggle and shift with obviously characters that died in the first movie, and then of course the catastrophe that went down through Gotham City and everything like that. This seems like a very interesting story that they're trying to tell. Like, obviously it's much more grounded, which of course this version of Batman already is, but even more so because this is more like not just like a character study, but just like we're getting that nitty gritty Gotham, like kind of like that the Gotham TV show where we're getting really into like the mob families and all that kind of stuff. And the actors they have showing up in this look really cool because they've got the daughter, I think it's the daughter of what's the guy's name? Oh, hello, thumbs up.
I believe it's Carmine Falcone's daughter.
Thank you, Falcone. The daughter of Falcone is the mom from How I Met Your Mother, and then you've got the guy that played Joel on Marvelous Miss Maisel. So some really good actors they've got pulled into this that are going to be brand new characters. Ashlyn, you're my resident Batman person, DC person that I go to. What did you think of this trailer, and what do you think of this series?
Well, I mean, when we watched it, I looked at you and I was like, well, they're really getting into it. Like, it's going to be really dark. And it's funny because you brought up Gotham, the TV show. And the problem with that Penguin that I think a lot of people had was just the character that played him was just a little too zany type guy. And they were still kind of playing off some of the tropes from, I think, like the Tim Burton Batman era. So
it was a bit back and forth. They'd have him go serious and then he'd do something ridiculous. And it was just, It was kind of like that. But it was because he was like a psychopath. So they just kept like doing that with it.
So I'm liking that we're getting Colin Farrell doing this very gritty, more the mobster, gangster version of Penguin. And so I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I was obviously... the guy who played the Riddler in this and that character from the Batman was very unnerving for me, which is not my favorite
to say the least
thing. Like, that's always time it's like a character like that that's like gives you skin crawls, it's not my cup of tea as far as that's concerned, because I just hate that feeling. But it was still a really good movie. Like, I still really enjoyed that version and was surprised by it. So I'm really excited to see where this goes as far as Penguin's story, and if we're going to get more side characters after this.
For sure. And I still say that the Gotham version of the Riddler, I think, is my favorite that I've ever seen. They did
with
such
you
a
on
good
that.
job with that character, and really getting into like the schizophrenic side
Yeah.
of everything was just so well done with that. But
You know what, the
Brandon,
Gotham show or the Batman?
I'm sorry, the Gotham TV show that was like
Yeah.
the prequel
Yeah, so
to Batman.
He's the one that's he did Beast, and he's doing Professor.
Oh, it is Nicholas Hoult. I couldn't remember if it was him or just a guy that looks like him.
Yeah, that was him.
Brandon, what did you think of this second trailer?
Y'all kind of hit it on the head with talking about how like it's kind of going the Gotham route, but I think it's going a little bit more darker than that.
For sure.
Because that's kind of where I feel in parts Gotham did fall flat. I love that show, but the storytelling kind of started breaking away from what it set out to do way later in the series, because it kind of stepped out of that darkness. And I hope that that's not what's going to happen here. I think we have a long way to go if it ever does, but so far I'm impressed. I think that it should be a good show. If it's anything like what we saw with the Pattinson Batman, this is going to be at least a good series run. So I hope to see more from it in the future. But so far the trailers look really, really good. And
yeah, this is like The Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like what I want out of a Penguin show. I just want it really gritty, all about the crime syndicate in Gotham, and it looks like that's exactly the route that they're going. So I think they're on the right track for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say it's like if you took The Sopranos, The Wire, turned it up to 11, and then threw in DC characters.
Doing the Batman.
Yeah, you're like, fuck yeah, this is the best. Josh, your thoughts before we move on?
I think it looks really good. I'm a big fan of the Batman movie itself, and I think this universe really needs this show right now, considering since the Batman Part 2 keeps getting pushed back. I think this will be a nice kind of reminder that this universe is still happening and that this is still a thing, and will kind of hold people over until we finally get the Batman, because it feels like every month we hear that it's getting pushed back. But so I think this universe really needs it. I think the show itself looks fantastic. I mean, what more do you want? We get to see more of the nitty gritty of Gotham and not just see it from Batman's point of view. I think it's interesting to see it from the villain's point of view. So I'm here for it.
Let me ask y'all real quick. We'll just do a quick answer. What, I know there's been rumors of what villain they're going to do for Batman 2, but what villain would you specifically want to see in this version of Batman?
Shit.
I'm going to start with Brandon. We're going to go around. Just give a quick
God
answer.
damn it! I wish you didn't start with me.
Okay, fine. I can go to Josh.
No, it's okay. It's okay. 'Cause I want to say the first one that popped into my head, even though we've already seen him on screen fairly recently, and I'm saying that in the sense of the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
I think Scarecrow would be perfect for this. But I don't know if they're going to go that route. I kind of hope they don't, because Cillian Murphy's performance of that was really good for The Dark Knight. But I also think that character fits this world and this adaptation so much. And that's the first one that popped into my head. But if you had asked me like years ago what I would think about, Pattinson Batman, their villain, and I didn't know it was going to be Riddler, I would not have said Riddler, but they knocked out of the park. So I think
True.
if they do go a different direction, they're going to do it justice. And the Riddler in that adaptation, I'll just quickly say, I think is one of those examples where you can break away a little bit from the, actually a lot of it from the comics and all the adaptations we've seen of the Riddler before and still do it really fucking good. So
For sure.
My pick would probably be Scarecrow, even though we've seen him recently. So
Ashlyn, how about you?
Well, the one I've always wanted to see that I feel like has not gotten enough screen time is Clayface, but I don't know how he would fit in this universe.
That's the only problem is,
adaptation.
I feel like he'd be more like the new DC Universe Batman versus the Matt Reeves one, but I'm with you. I want to see a live action Clayface like done really well, and I want them to I don't think he'll do it because of everything that happened, but I want them to get Brendan Fraser to play that character.
Yeah.
Because I think he would be the perfect choice.
Mhm.
So that's what you're going with is Clayface?
So I mean, for this universe, I'm trying to think of like, I guess my pick would be Two-Face, because if we're going gritty,
That's a good one too.
Yeah, I've seen a very interesting take on Two-Face in this version. I think is the next best choice after doing Riddler, because I'm just trying to think of those like very gritty characters.
For sure. Josh, how about you?
Well, I think the obvious one that most people would expect to say, it's because I teased it with that whole post-credit scene, was the Joker. I'm interested to see. He's not my pick, but I'm interested to see what they do with him, because it's clearly a very different take. We're going with that route. But for me, when it comes to nitty-gritty, I like Bane. So I think Bane will fit well in this universe as well.
I wondered who was going to say that.
Yeah, I thought about
that was
Bane,
my second
and
choice.
I was like,
so the thing that's been rumored a lot is Hush. But the version of Riddler that they did in the first movie had very much that Hush feel, so I don't know how they do it. But I'm going to say for me, what I would want to see, and I don't know, obviously you'd have to go away from, most of these characters are way different than what we're used to seeing. I would want to see Red Hood done somehow.
I was going to say that too, bro. Y'all are all hitting my...
I keep doing the thumbs up somehow, but yeah. I would want to see Red Hood done somehow in this, because God, I can just in my head picture like the fight choreography with a character like that on this ground level, just beating the shit out of each other type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd want to see.
Red Hood would be a good one, but I think he's too fresh in his story. Like he's only been Batman for like 2 years, and Red Hood.
No, you're right, and that's why you'd have to change everything about it
and everything. So like that's something that, which I agree with you, he would fit this movie perfectly, but that would have to be like a whole big time jump or something.
Yeah, I know. That's why, like, time-wise, it doesn't make sense. You'd have to change his whole background, and so I guess most people would probably be very upset about it. But in my head, I'm just like, oh, this would be.
Did
so
you
cool.
like the Red Hood from the Titans show? Did you watch Titans?
He was. It was.
I might be one of the few, but I actually enjoyed that show. I know a lot of people.
Yeah. It's not the show as a whole. It's just like the Red Hood thing was very hit and miss for me with it. It wasn't as good as I knew it could have been. But it's mostly because the setup, it just felt very shoehorned when it happened. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that it was the point of a whole season and everything like that. I'm never going to forgive him. It's kind of like the whole, like, people can't forgive Kylo Ren for killing Han Solo. I can't forgive Red Hood for killing Hawk. Because I really liked him. I like Alan Richson's.
I like him in everything he does.
Character. Yeah, he's a great actor. I just want him to be there. I don't even care if he like dresses up. I just want him to be around because he's so
What's
funny.
really funny is bringing up the Red Hood thing. I'm gonna throw some very like random BTAS knowledge at you. So there was a Red Hood that existed that was a villain before Jason, and it's in the animated series.
Well, they also touch on it because the Red Hood is also something that crosses the paths with a Joker. The red cap, like they do it in the Killing Joke, I think, where he wears like that big red like almost like a capsule on his head or something like that. And so it's also kind of like a play on that because he got killed by the Joker. He like takes on that moniker.
Y'all sure you don't want Red X?
Red X. That would be interesting, but that's what they should have done in the Titans TV show. But let's move on. So the last trailer of the day was the most ridiculous trailer I've seen in such a long fucking time. And yes, I'm going to say fucking time because what the did I just watch? Like, okay, so I will say this. Ash and I were talking about this after watching the trailer. I honestly think if it was somebody other than The Rock, I might enjoy it more. I honestly said if they had gotten someone like even Jason Statham in place of The Rock, I might have been more on board with this movie. It's The Rock himself that's kind of ruining for me because, yes, regardless of who's in the role, it is absolutely over the top and ridiculous. But The Rock makes it even more so just by being there for me personally. Now, Josh, you're shaking your head. I think you're mad because I'm talking bad about a Chris Evans movie, so I want to hear your
No, I agree with you. I'm like a massive Chris Evans fanboy, but even I was like, what am I watching? Like, come on, man, you could do better than this. Like, It seems like a funny. Like I won't go watch this in the theater. Like I'll wait for streaming and I'll put it on.
Oh, it's definitely a streaming movie for sure.
Josh
just
doesn't
'cause-
want to be seen going to this in public.
It just feels like a giant Christmas acid trip. Like I don't know what like Santa Claus is doing like 500 reps and then somehow he gets kidnapped by the U.S. government or something.
I do love who they got for I almost said Batman for Santa.
Santa.
I do love the actor they got for him, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
And like
how about Jonah Hill as that polar bear though?
Wait, that was Jonah Hill.
Is that who that was?
I'm like 90% sure that was Jonah Hill.
Oh my god!
I'll have to double check that, but I recognize that voice immediately. I was like, no fucking way.
It's just
that is so
Chris,
stupid.
Chris Evans and The Rock is a weird duo.
It
when you
is.
really think about it.
It's
Like
very weird.
I feel that way about there's that new movie. I saw pictures where he's the love interest for Dakota Johnson. Like he's just doing like I think that's a weird combination too. I don't know. I just feel
The
like
Rock?
No,
Or Chris
Chris,
Evans?
Chris Evans.
Oh, I was like,
Either
what
either
the
one
fuck?
would be weird.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is
Either
closer
one.
than The Rock. Can you imagine The Rock
Yeah.
and Dakota Johnson
No,
trying
but
to be
like I saw
romantic?
like that for whatever I just don't see it. But like
Polar
it's just-
opposite chemistry. That's
Yeah.
why.
But
That's what
you
it's
know
called,
I'll go
polar
watch
opposites.
it when it hits Netflix. It looks like it might be a good popcorn flick. It's like they're really running out of ideas. So
Yeah.
but
sure.
you got to give them props for trying.
Brandon, what did you think of the trailer?
I will give them props for doing something new. Whether or not it's gonna be good, I doubt it. But like,
No slaughterhouse.
no, I've said it before. I'm kind of really over seeing The Rock in every little thing, seeing Kevin Hart in every little thing, and it's just like, this is one of those they did run out of ideas type deal. It's probably gonna be fucking stupid hilarious, but it's no one's gonna take this seriously. That's gonna be the point of it. It's gonna be funny, and that's really the whole thing.
This is
Christmas was a strange thing to do. It's just like you think about it more, and it's just like, why? What's the fucking point of this? Like,
this is gonna be
This is the holiday film for the family.
yeah, it's gonna be
it's
so
like
damn stupid, but in the best ways. Like,
this is gonna be the film that makes Chris Evans realize I need Captain America back.
probably,
right, yeah.
probably.
I need at some point in this movie, just because it's like a holiday movie. At some point, I need The Rock looking directly at the camera and just go, "Holidays about family." just really lay into like getting back at Vin Diesel. Like I just want to see that in this ridiculous thing. Ashlyn, as I keep saying it, before we move on, I'm sure you have some wonderful thoughts on this trailer, and I know you're very excited to see it.
I mean, I'm in the same camp as, we've already said. I'm sick of seeing The Rock. We talked about it. I feel like, honestly, his acting keeps going down every year for me. I miss the days when he was in, like, Ballers and some of his better, more dramatic
That was his
roles.
best acting I've ever seen, was in Ballers.
Correct. But yeah, no, like, the premise is an interesting concept. Santa Claus gets kidnapped by who? We have no freaking idea right now. But, like, okay, sure. But, I mean, seeing the person they got to play Santa is ridiculous. Like when it first started and it was the same like Red One, I thought it was some weird Christmas version of those Red movies, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I
that
too. Yeah.
Or there was the one on Netflix with him and Ryan Reynolds. Wasn't that Red something?
Oh yeah. With Gal Gadot too.
And honestly, that one was pretty fun. Like for a Netflix like action flick type of thing, that one was pretty good because you had exactly you had Ryan Reynolds to team up with him, which is why he showed up in like Hobbs and Shaw. And then you had Gal Gadot on it, so you had a good ensemble. I just don't think him. Red Notice. Thank you.
Yeah.
They really should have. These names are getting too close, but they really should have. Like they needed somebody more than just Chris Evans along with him. I feel like to offset The Rock. Just
and even Red Notice, The Rock did a good job in. Like that's one of his more recent ones that I was like, okay, it works, right? Like. It kind of reminded me of his like role in Get Smart a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hollywood's no stranger to putting The Rock in just everything and having those movies kind of coincide to where you're like, well, was it this movie I'm thinking of or this one? The one that comes to mind for me when he's doing something like that is when he was in San Andreas, and then the following year, if not even that, he was in Rampage. Both of it was like post-apocalyptic, and there's buildings falling, and he's falling out of them, and he's grabbing shit in the air, and it's like, you look at them and they could be the same movie. It's just one's got a giant monkey.
San Andreas with the earthquakes.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Rampage was ever made. As
I
someone who grew up on that movie,
liked
it's not that I think it's the worst movie ever. I just, as someone who grew up on the video game, I cannot believe they made a movie off of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't either, and I don't think that they did it justice, but that's for another time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a favorite of mine, but it's just like, hey, the monkey's nice, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's some MMA fighter or boxer, I don't know what it is, but The Rock is doing that new A24 film where he has hair, and it's like the life story of like one of those fighters.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
So that might be a good one because it's a serious role, and it's.
Yeah.
I would actually like to see him try at a dramatic film. You know what I mean?
Like, so he actually has hair, and it's weird.
So he'll look different, you know.
Yeah.
It'll be like the old days with like we were talking about it earlier. What was the movie you said, Ashlyn?
The Rundown.
The Rundown and the game plan, and when he kept trying to keep hair or have hair, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that or like Bruce Willis's old films back in the day. So let's move on to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
I was just gonna say, I think we're all just The Rock out. Like, it's just, we're tired of seeing him in everything. I think he just needs to be more selective with his roles and things like that, because it gets to a point where you're just like, I don't want to see your fucking face anymore.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's something completely out of the box that you haven't done before, because like you and me have said, Andrew, it's just all you see is The Rock in every single role. It's just the same shit over and over regurgitated.
And he contractually has to do the eyebrow.
I'm assuming you guys weren't happy about those apocalypse rumors a few months back of him playing Apocalypse. You didn't hear all that stuff going around where Marvel Studios was talking about playing Apocalypse?
No, they need.
I didn't hear that, but no,
I don't know if that's true, but that was like big news like a month or so ago.
I didn't hear it. Not to say that there isn't any validity to it, but I hope to God there's not. No, I don't want to see that happen. But that's a talk for another day. Like X-Men in general is such a thing right now. But let's move on to some quick movie reviews. So Ashlyn and I think it was like 2 weeks ago, we went and saw Bad Boys: Ride or Die. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. This is not the worst. This is not the worst film of the franchise. I still think the second one is. This is right behind it, though, for me personally. The last one was really good, actually. I think that Bad Boys for Life is right there with the original one for me. Like, it's a very different feel, obviously, but just like, if you want to say quality-wise, it's up there with the original, and then you have this one, and then you have Bad Boys 2. And honestly, the thing about Bad Boys 2 has always been for me, and like I rewatched everything before going to see this fourth one. Bad Boys 2, the stuff with Will Smith and wow, my mind went blank. But the other actor,
Martin Lawrence.
Thank you, Martin Lawrence. Most of their stuff pretty much works. It's the bad guy for me in that movie that just tanks it. Everything that guy does in that movie is just terrible. His acting's terrible, even for an action flick. It's just bad. But this one, I don't really know what to say. It's I feel like the farther I get away from it, the less I like it. It's one of those, like, the more I've thought about it, the less I've enjoyed it. Ashton will tell you the same thing. The first 30 minutes of the film, I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Like, and I'm not even going to get into spoiler stuff, not that it really matters, but just the direction they take, it kind of has a similar sense of the second one, where Martin Lawrence's character has like a life-changing, epiphany and everything like that. And so he's changing his way of doing things. Like I said, they did that in the second one, but this is even more so. And he's just so over the top in this movie. Like it's like he's like an older Kevin Hart type character is what he was giving me in this film. And I was so disappointed with that. There's some pretty decent action sequences. I just didn't like the direction they took overall. The villain wasn't terrible, but he also, I feel like, wasn't there enough to a certain degree. We did get to see that I don't know the actor's name, but there's a show that's coming Friday on Toy Quest 101 where Miguel's going to be interviewing the Paz Vizsla character, the guy who
Dave Fletcher.
physically plays him. Thank you. Physically plays him on The Mandalorian. He was in it. Actually, he was one of the bad guys' goons. He meets a really bad demise. But anyway, so I would just say that they should have ended it at the last one. I will also never forgive them for getting these names backwards because it should have been Bad Boys Ride or Die for the third one, especially considering the Will Smith thing. And then this one, Bad Boys for Life. I will never forgive you for getting that wrong. Okay, I'm done. Ashlyn, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty much with you on everything, especially, like I said, the first 30 minutes, we were almost ready to walk out. Like, it was pretty bad. Like,
Would you rather watch Quantumania or Bad Boys?
I think I'd rather watch Quantumania again.
Yeah, I didn't think Quantumania was that bad. Yeah,
Okay,
no,
Love and
this
Thunder
one's...
then.
Oh, that's harder.
No, still Love and
No,
Thunder.
Yeah, I liked Love and Thunder. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but yeah, no. This was just, like Andrew said, it was like watching older Kevin Hart. Just like, it was just like stupid humor turned up to 11, but it wasn't even that funny. That was the worst part about it.
Yeah, his jokes just weren't landing. Like
at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's, great that they tied up some loose ends with the son and stuff like that for this one, and he gets like a bit of a redemption arc and things like that, but honestly it was just unnecessary. It wasn't really something that we needed.
And it's interesting because this movie has been getting pretty positive feedback. Like,
Yeah.
everyone was like, oh no, this movie didn't need to happen, and then initial reactions were like, oh no, it was actually pretty good. I don't know if everyone's expectations were just like way down here when they went in or something like that. But my expectations weren't super high, but were like pretty moderate considering the last movie was one of my favorites out of the franchise. So yeah, it was just definitely a disappointment.
It was just mid, it just wasn't. It got better the longer it went, but it was just like, it wasn't one of those things that I was like, oh, this was necessary for the franchise.
Yeah. So enough about Bad Boys. So if I had to give it a rating, I'm gonna give it a, I don't know, 5 out of 10. Ashlyn?
Not even a decimal point, bro. Huh?
Damn, you better get slapped by a little.
I almost said
mid.
5. I almost said 5.5, but I'm literally going with a hard 5. Ashlyn?
Right.
I was gonna say somewhere between a 5 and a 6. Like,
so 5.5 for her.
Okay. and what scale does Madam Web fall on again?
Oh, that one's a 10 out of 10, sir.
Okay,
10 out of 10.
I just need to know. I need to know your.
I rate all my movies in line with Madam Web. Okay, especially in 2024. It's right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You guys are such assholes.
That was the hardest movie to ever sit through. Oh.
Let's move on to a good movie, Inside Out 2. Brandon, I know you haven't seen it yet.
I need to. I really
You're
want
slacking,
to.
bro. This is God.
I'm sorry, I'm poor.
I'm actually gonna. Jesus Christ! I want to start with Josh because he was very excited about this movie, talking very positively. Josh, what did you think of Inside Out 2?
Now I just feel like a jerk. I will buy you. I will buy you.
Like, have you heard of $5 movie Tuesday?
Don't you fucking dare.
You're making me feel like anxiety from the movie. I'm gonna go buy you a movie ticket so you can go watch it.
Oh shit!
No,
sorry. No.
He's gonna Venmo you like $15. Like, I'm sorry for being an asshole.
Your wife go watch this now.
Thank you, Josh. I can eat tonight.
No, but it was fantastic. We talked a little bit before the show. I think this is definitely geared towards more adults, even though it is a Pixar kid movie. A lot of the messages behind it is stuff kids won't pick on. Like I said, I don't remember exactly how it was said, but there was that line where it's talked about how the joy leaves kids as they become adults, meaning like adults have no joy. I'm like, oh
yeah, they no longer need joy or whatever.
The whole tornado thing with anxiety, I think it was a perfect representation for how anxiety attacks work, and how when you're breathing through it, you have to like touch your surroundings, everything to kind of bring you back to reality, and how you just kind of freeze, and how much because I do it all the time, how much I think of how I annoy everybody, or I overanalyze everything, and I it was just perfect. And as far as explaining how anxiety works for a lot of people, and I thought it was a really cute movie. I think anxiety and embarrassment were probably my two new favorite characters.
Yeah, embarrassment definitely stands out, not just physically. And Ashlyn, your thoughts on the movie?
Well, we kind of talked after the movie and everything like that, and I agree.
Well, yes, but for everybody else,
yes. I was just like, I still think I like the first one better. I really liked what they did with all the new characters and everything like that. And like Josh said, the representation with anxiety and the whole part of like where, it's the battle between joy and anxiety for Riley and trying to, figure out who Riley needs in that moment and everything in that time in her life. And of course, there's a little bit of that, she's going through puberty, but that very much kind of felt like an afterthought. It was more like her age versus like physical puberty, like we saw in Turning Red. So, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. My only complaint
She cried.
I actually did not cry.
Oh,
I did.
Andrew did.
Well
like
played,
trust
sir.
me, it was there. Like I felt like I wanted to, I just didn't. But
Heart
no.
bastard. I'm sorry.
I
Hey, I'm sorry, Ashlyn. 2 seconds, Mr. Tappy Tap over there. Hey, how you doing, bud?
my bad. There's like lo-fi playing in the distance in my living room. I can hear it, so I'm like vibing.
I'm sorry. I had to nip it in the bud before it went too long. I just heard. Okay, Ashlyn, please continue.
Now the embarrassment comes in.
Yeah, exactly. My only
Man.
complaint with the movie is the fact that you had all the heavy, right? Like in the middle, and then it was literally 5 minutes of wrapping up the story and then you're done. You didn't give people time to reacclimate after all of the heavy stuff with anxiety. And I felt like I was missing parts of Riley's life after that. And
So what you're saying is they wanted to give everyone an anxiety attack before they left the theater. Is that what you're
pretty
saying?
much.
Got it. Okay. They're just trying to make it stick with you. That's all.
Yeah, I love everything they did. It is definitely more for adults and everything, but I just think we needed those more happy feelings afterwards because it was very, very heavy. And then it was just and here's 2 or 3 minutes of after everything happens and we're done. Curtain call, everything's done. And I just I felt like it needed more.
Yeah. Or even if we talked about maybe just kind of like last time, that a longer mid-credit scene or whatever you want to call it, where they kind of do some fun stuff and just lighthearted jokes with the emotions and stuff like that. They had a little bit, but it just was it was very, very short.
Yeah.
With the whole meh character and everything like that. I forget what they call Bonwi. Ennui.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that character. I did enjoy this movie. I am with Ashlyn that if I had to choose one over the other, I do think I still lean towards the first Inside Out as the superior film. But to be fair, that one also came out of nowhere in a sense. It was brand new ideas, new characters, new concept all around that was breaking ground. So it's a very different situation versus trying to continue on that story. So I
think this one was better than the first one for me personally.
And you're not the first person I've heard say that. A lot of people like this one more because we got that expansion of emotions and characters.
Well, no, that and it's. I feel like it's the first one was it was the emotions of a child.
A child, yeah. This is more of the
more emotions towards teenagers, young adults, and adult.
For sure, and that's why we can relate more to it. Yeah,
yeah, I deal with that on a daily basis, so it's rough. So I think I liked it more.
I'll say I think the timing for that's very well done on Disney Pixar's behalf because they they started. When did Inside Out come out? Like 8 years ago?
More.
9 years ago.
9 years ago, something like that. And it's like those kids that watched it at Riley's age are growing up, and this is their age now to where they're going to start feeling, if not already feeling, these sorts of emotions. So I love that. I think that's very well done on their behalf.
Yeah, it was definitely like well thought out, like very flushed out set of ideas and concepts, and like that's the thing I appreciate is like Pixar most times if they're releasing a sequel to something, they usually try and make sure it's flushed out. It's not you can't hit out of the park every single time, but they try.
They do a very, very good job at getting close, though.
It's like a 90% batting average. You know what I mean? Like,
there's very few Pixar movies that I can think of. I was talking about this with a coworker the other day. Is like I can't think of many Pixar movies. There's a handful, like Toy Story 4. I wasn't a big fan of Turning Red, but it also didn't pertain to me personally.
Yeah.
So it's like, those sorts of movies. But like some of the ones that you don't talk about so much, like Onward, I loved.
Onward was great.
That's a super underrated film.
So underrated. And there's when it comes to Pixar, they generally do a very, very good job at storytelling and character building and just making you fall in love with the movie and really fall into the role yourself watching it. That's why you see so many people crying over it. I mean, you feel it. That's what they excel at.
I mean,
so.
even their short stories though, like their Pixar shorts, are crazy.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
Yeah, and as Josh was saying, that particular line with the joy thing, like when you reach a certain age, you no longer need joy, or you no longer have joy. That's the moment that broke me. That's the moment that I definitely lost. Like
you would say you lost all the joy in your heart.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Josh, for right on the head.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the moment that definitely broke me in this film. Like for Ashlyn Inside Out, it's take her to the moon for me, disappear.
Bing bong.
Like she ugly cries every time.
Why you gotta bring up Bing Bong? Come on.
Bing bong, bing bong.
Come on.
He was in Joy's bunk. She
Yeah,
has that little toy Bing Bong in her bunk.
Justice for Bing Bong.
Now you're making it sad all over again.
I'm sorry. Okay, so real quick before we move on, Josh, what would you give this out of a 10?
Sorry, my glasses got a little blurry there.
It's all good. Misty.
All the Bing Bong talk got me emotional. For a Pixar film, I would put it up the high ones. I give it like a solid 9 out of 10.
Nice. Ashlyn?
I'd say like an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. 8 out of 10 for me. Definitely one of the best sequel ones. Really well done Pixar movie just in general. It's not going to be one of those like repeat viewing type things for me. I think because of the anxiety stuff, it maybe hit a little too close to home in those moments. At certain times, I started feeling it. I'd seen clips of people like having actual fucking panic attacks in the theater because they just feel it. Like they do such. I will say this before.
Sorry for laughing. I'm just thinking, damn, Pixar went too hard, bro.
They did. They really did, man. The way they show the anxiety attack, because you see the inside and outside, obviously, but it's the outside part that really got me, because you see her like the eyes and the sweat and the hyperventilating. She's like touching her surroundings, and I was just like, oh god, this is too real. Like it was way too on point. And that's why Josh said is like, this is not very kid. It is very much like that older crowd, but
they'll appreciate it more as they get older.
Yeah, for sure. So we have some other things, a couple shows we're going to touch on before the end. I do want to do this quick news segment here called Rapid Fire News. Now there's so much there's so much movie and pop culture news that it's hard to keep track on, and talk about every single time. So what I'm going to do is we're going to touch on a subject. One, maybe two of us will talk about it. We're going to keep moving on, try and get through as many topics as possible. Now, first one, timer. First one I wanted to touch on is the new Jurassic World 4 specifically, has added Scarlett Johansson to the roster. They already had Mahershala Ali signed on. And I also want to mention that the original Jurassic Park screenwriter is returning to write the script. Or has written the script rather for this new movie. And I know actors talk up movies all the time, but Scarlett Johansson's talking very highly about this. I mean, she's very excited to be part of this franchise. She says she loves this franchise, since she was young, but she's talking specifically about the script. So I really hope that she's right, because I was very with the last two Jurassic World movies. Ashlyn, you're my Jurassic Park person. What do you think about this news? Do you have any thoughts on the future of Jurassic World?
I mean, I was kind of at the point where I was like, okay, let's just let it cool down for a little bit. We don't have to jump back into it, but if they are going to jump back into it, these are two great actors. And if Scarlett is feeling that strongly about it, and, we always say you need a fan. If the person isn't a fan of what they're doing, they're not going to put the thought and the care into their performance. So if she's a true fan and she's excited about the script, that makes me excited. So hopefully we keep getting more news and things keep going great. Of course, Mahershala Ali is an amazing actor as well. So I'm excited. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know where we're going with this, but we'll have to just wait and see. As far as like the continuation world that we've gotten through the Netflix series, those have been amazing. So I'm hoping it continues to kind of follow that path and keep me excited and engaged.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about Scarlett Johansson returning to franchises with something like this after, stepping away from them with all the Marvel stuff and everything like that. So, for her to want to take on another franchise like this, I do think it kind of speaks volumes a little bit. Now, Josh or Brandon, either one of you all want to touch on this before we move to the next topic?
It has Blade and Black Widow, $1 billion film.
You heard it here, folks.
My rapid fire. Do I think it's necessary? No.
No.
Do I think it might be good? Maybe.
Yes.
But I also think it's really cool for Scarlett, because she's gone on record multiple times saying that that's the one franchise she wants to be in.
Yeah.
So I think that
so good on her.
Good on her. Good on them for
Chris
throwing
Pratt.
her a bone for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Another topic to touch on is Benedict Cumberbatch recently said that Avengers 5 will be filming as soon as next year. That Doctor Strange will also be appearing in Avengers 5. We don't know what version this is going to look like after the whole Kang debacle. Of course, for this, I'm going to my resident Marvel guy. Josh, thoughts?
2 words: Secret Wars.
Oh my God.
Slaughter House.
No, I'm excited.
Goodbye.
It actually starts filming this year. Technically, it starts filming on December 31st. So technically, it starts filming this year. I'm excited for it. We need more Doctor Strange. It's probably going to be the same with Multiverse of Madness, because we're going to have Doctor Strange 3 before the movie. It would just make sense. He's the main. We don't have Tony Stark, Chris Evans, or anything like that. So Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Holland, they're like the main focal points that we're going to watch through the lenses of. But I'm excited for it. And, just one step closer to Secret Wars, baby. Let's go.
And the next topic, we have just announced today that HBO is picking up the Green Lantern series for a full season, 8-episode series for the first season. Lanterns is what it's going to be called. It's going to be about multiple Green Lanterns. We've already heard confirmations that we're going to have Hal Jordan and oh man, can't remember the other Green
John
Lanterns.
Stewart.
Thank you, John Stewart, and then the redheaded guy. They're all supposed to show up, so we're supposed to get multiple Green Lanterns as opposed to just one. Now, we don't know for sure. Supposedly, this will be connected to the new DC universe, but it's not 100%. We don't know in what way. For this one, I'm going to go to Brandon. What did you think? What do you think of this news? Do you have any thoughts on this?
I can't wait to see Ryan Reynolds back as Green Lantern. For sure. I could not do it. Come on.
Redemption.
Yeah. If they did find a way to do a cameo with him, that'd be hilarious.
He's one of the dudes that gets blown up in the first episode.
Yeah. No, but I think this is probably a good direction to go for it. This, correct me if I'm wrong, is a James Gunn thing, right?
He should be attached in some way because he's in charge of everything DC at this point.
Okay, so that gives me some hope for this, but if you'd asked me this years and years ago, I probably would have told you a totally different side of this, but I think we've waited long enough. I think the damage was done, and it's kind of, we're in the rebuilding phase. And Green Lantern as a whole, I think, has waited long enough for some sort of movie, TV show appearance. It is kind of a bold take to do all of them like that, like at once. Especially if they're incorporating like Stewart and Hal into it. I think that this could either be make or break. I don't know which side of the fence to stay on this one, so I'll probably just stay in the middle and just kind of be optimistic because I really want to see a good Green Lantern film. And years ago, I'm sorry, I did like it. And it wasn't until, going back years later and rewatching it that I was just like, God, this sucks. Because you got to remember, years ago, we were in the era of like, this was pre Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. So the bar wasn't set very high. And when I watched it, I'm like, I thought it was a solid movie. And it was just a good afternoon popcorn flip. Yeah. It is absolutely is now compared to what else is out there. But back then it was just like, it's gotten a lot more hate over the years for sure. But
I feel like if they had just taken out the poop cloud, almost everything else could have kind of worked.
I will say what's very underrated about that movie, absolutely criminally underrated, is how good Sinestro was. From the character building with him to who he is. I mean, I guess just who he is as a character, what his character looks like, the actor that they got for his character. Don't even know his actor's name.
Mark Strong.
Okay. Very, very well done. Everything else was just like, ugh. And Ryan Reynolds did at the point, at the time fit the mold for me because I didn't know any better. And now going back and rewatching and like comparing it to not only comics, but also the TV shows, the adaptations, it's like, ugh. So I know this was more of a rant on and explanation on previous Green Lantern, on the previous Green Lantern, but it does tie into this in the sense that like,
no, I mean, it looks like I picked the right person. So
yeah, I think I am more optimistic than I am not. But I want to see it done right. I think that this could flop extremely easily, so they got to do it right. So
for sure,
yeah.
Two more quick pieces of news. I don't really have much of an opinion on this, but it has been confirmed that a Spaceballs 2 is in production with Mel Brooks and Josh Gad attached to produce. I'm assuming, maybe write. I don't really know. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen Spaceballs all the way through. Man. I've seen it bits and pieces on Comedy Central when it was on all the time. And there goes Ashlyn going inside. It wouldn't be a show without that happening. Anybody have opinions on this? Because I do not.
Yes,
I do.
Go for it. Okay, Josh first.
Oh, okay.
Just
yeah,
yes,
no.
That was it. Just yes.
Oh, okay, Brandon.
I think that it's bold for sure to do it this long and this far out later. I don't know how hyped I am for Josh Gad. I don't know if this is the right thing for him. What made that movie so good was that it was such a parody on Star Wars, but when it was like fresh and it was just the original trilogy. And now I don't know if they're going to be too in over their heads with how much Star Wars content is there. If they're still going that same direction and parodying off of Star Wars,
it could be very scary movie very quick. That's
very much. Yeah, it could be too much at once, and I feel like that's going to be the direction of this. I honestly think this is going to flop. I hope it doesn't. But the only way to do it right is to, reference and bring back some of the old BS characters that they had on screen before. Bring in some of the original actors. Sure, introduce new actors and whatever. Do it however that they want to do it in that regard. But the focal point has to be comedy, and it has to be, they got to ride that fine line of parody where it's not too freaking cheesy, but it's just funny enough. Yeah, and I think they'll be okay if they do that, but I don't see it going that direction. I think.
Yeah, I think the one thing that works in their favor is that we have, obviously it's a very long time between the two, to be frank, but we're also lucky that we didn't get this during the era of the parody movies at the same time.
Yeah, that is very true too.
So, and it's been a good almost 50, well, maybe not 15 years, but over 10 years since we had like a decent number of parody movies showing up on the frequent.
Starving Games, bro.
So maybe that'll work in their favor. Maybe there's some people, I don't know who's clamoring for it, but maybe there's some people that, are really looking forward to something like this. I don't know. But literally, I just feel like I don't know. So the last bit of quick news we're going to touch on here is they announced, I believe it was yesterday, that Freaky Friday 2 is actually in production. This is something I never thought was actually going to happen. I was actually like a big fan of Freaky Friday back in the day when I was young. Like it hit just like at the right age. I think I was literally like 13, maybe 14 years old or something like that when that movie came out. Probably like 13. And I definitely, like, it sounds ridiculous, but I like wanted to be like that Lindsay Lohan character with like the whole like, punk rock star, like, I hate you, mom, like, you don't understand me. It was that angsty like emo era that I was definitely in. So like I really felt a connection with that movie, as funny as that sounds. But I don't know what they're doing with this. I do want to talk to my resident Chad Michael Murray fan though, Ashlyn, and there's been confirmation that he's coming back and possibly a couple other characters as well showing up from the original. Do you have any opinions on the sequel to Freaky Friday going into production?
Thank you for throwing me under the bus, and I saw the eyebrow, Brandon.
Huh? I didn't do anything for you. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying.
That's just his face.
That's
fine.
My face, yeah. Channeling my inner anxiety now. Embarrassment.
There you go. And now Ashlyn's embarrassed. And continue.
I'm always embarrassed. I still don't know how you get me on camera, but it's fine. No, I'm excited for it. I'm excited that I think pretty much almost everybody is returning. So that's cool as far as like
probably minus the grandpa, I would assume.
Listen, don't bring Peepaw up. It's not.
I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just. It's been like 20 years.
Stop bringing up characters like Bing Bong and Grandpa.
But hopefully they get like. I know they announced one of the other girls from the band is coming back. I don't know if it's the black girl or the gothy white girl, but
we'll just have Meet Me at the Altar actually show up in the film to do the song like they did the cover of.
That would be awesome for them. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I don't know where they're going with it. They're, we've talked and said we've got some theories as far as, the typical rom-com thing where her and Chad Michael Murray are going to get together after years of, going down their own separate paths and stuff. So we'll see what tropes they play into with that. But I'm excited that they're both back and, maybe, hopefully, along with this, we'll get a Princess Diaries 3 one of these days before, our lovely lady passes on because, she's getting up there in age. So.
My question for you before we move on is for Chad Michael Murray, which Britney Spears song will he be singing this time?
It's Britney, Matt.
It's gotta be Toxic, right? Like,
oh Lord.
Like okay, let's move on. All right, so that's
embarrassment.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for our rapid fire news. Let's move on. Now, the guys, Ashley and I have not watched The Boys, but the boys have watched it and want to talk about it. So we'll give them a little bit of time. Whoever wants to kick it off, y'all go right ahead.
I'll give you the honors. All I gotta say is Human Centipede.
Yeah. So yeah, this is something that's this season specifically has been something that people have been waiting for a long time. And between the last season and this season of The Boys, we also got the Gen V show, which stood up very, very well and was a fantastic filler between seasons. That didn't make, however, the wait for this season any less just like when you're sucked into a show like I am for this, it's like you're craving anything, any bit of content. So I've gone through all of The Boys so far. I'm caught up. I've watched the Gen V show and I've watched the Diabolical animated show, which all of them are fantastic. If you Diabolical being but like it still stands up there with the gruesomeness of the boys. And this season is picking it up very, very well where it left off. The one thing I will say that's kind of like a little, and you might understand where I'm coming from on this, Josh, but like something about the characters, and I should just say the actors in this one looks different than the last season.
Oh, you just want
Like,
to say, yeah.
I know Starlight, she had some work done and whatever,
Yeah.
refuses to admit it, whatever. But not even just that, but MM too, and even Butcher.
Yeah, I think
they all kind of look like they
weight or something.
Yeah, but they all looked like they've changed. Like I did notice MM drop some weight, but like they've definitely like it doesn't feel like this is a direct pickup, but it feels like it's been a little bit since we've seen these characters.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't continue with the storyline, with the exception of Homelander. Ironically, they hit on his age so much in this season.
But that's the whole point of this season. He's freaking out.
Yeah, he's getting old. But yeah, it's that's the only complaint I'll say is that I'll say with the exception of Huey. Huey always has that baby face, but
well, the whole Huey thing, I feel like they just kind of threw the whole dad in there, and it's that whole subplot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. Like, what we don't care about this. I want to get on with the whole Butcher. What's going on with Butcher? Does Butcher still have powers? Like, I want to know about that stuff. I don't care about Huey and his dad and all that. Well, like it does. My main thing is it's starting to feel like a lot of these. I love the show. I'm here for it. I'm riding it till it dies. I absolutely love the show, but a lot of our characters, I feel like, have been arced out, and they're just trying to give them something to do because they have season
some
5.
Of them I can see that absolutely with. I definitely feel that way about Starlight. I think that this whole little arc with Starlight, like this last episode, I'm starting to change my opinion on a little bit, but yeah, with that, and I think even with Kimiko, I'm starting to feel that.
Like that, her and Frenchie, it just kind of seems like they're just they have that. There's too many like little subplots going on at once, and they're just trying to keep everybody relevant.
Yeah,
while they're trying to wrap up the main story, and you can feel it. And you can tell they're rushing the main story too because they announced season 5 is the last one, so you can seem like they're setting up the plot points for their end game, and they're just kind of rushing to it.
Which I do feel is probably the best move for them to do on the pure fact that like you don't want to draw this out and start making it feel like a gruesome version of Arrow or The Flash or some other CW show that just doesn't know when to quit. They're putting a stopping point, and I think that's the absolute best thing that they could do. There are some fan theories that have been squashed. You've seen this last episode, right? Episode 4. Yeah. Okay. So there was a fan theory. I don't know if you saw it. There was one where they talked about how the Temp V, I think is what it is. Am I right on that? I think it's not Gen V. I'm too many V's with VOT. but the serum that gives you superpowers. They're saying that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is just a fixation inside a Butcher's mind.
That's I'm starting to. I heard that too, that he might just be an hallucination, and I kind of feel like Butcher might have some underlying powers he doesn't know about, considering the stretchy pastor guy exploded. So
that's what I was saying. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that kind of confirmed it this last episode which thank God. I'm just gonna say 2 seasons too late for that dude to die. I wanted him to die the moment I saw him.
You know what's very very interesting. I didn't know this. I heard 2 days ago. You know the actress that plays Firecracker?
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Is that her name? Is that her real name?
No. So basically, somebody wrote her character based on that.
What I found very interesting because she's obviously playing that anti-gay, very that whole anti thing.
Thumper.
But in like real life, I didn't realize she actually has a wife.
Oh,
I just thought that was like interesting that they have somebody playing a character that's like against them, and I just think that whole thing's. And
I just saw that today. I actually just saw an article talking about that.
Too. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
She said it was like very like cathartic in a sense to like embody a character like this, considering who she is as a person and stuff like that.
But
overall, when you're the one being persecuted by those people, you know how they act. So.
She's like, I've got some ideas,
Yeah. I think this season is doing very well with keeping up with the gore. I mean, there's no shortage of that in this. The shock factor scenes are what is making this show so fucking good. but also I think the storytelling, it can be draggy at some points so far in this season, but I am still very much hooked.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough
I'm hooked
at
till it's
all
done.
to turn me off to it. I kind of felt a little bit like that with Gen V, but I haven't with this so far. So I am very excited.
Well, episode 5. I know there's 2 episodes. Episode 5 and episode 7, I think, are the 2 they said that has the characters from Gen V in it.
Oh, for real? Well, they referenced them. I don't know if you saw there was.
Well, yeah, they were in the trailer too. Like I forget the blonde one, and then the 2 that survived at the end of not survived. The 2 that made it out of the first season.
Yeah, I did not know that. That gives me some hype a little bit. I did not know that they were going to be in that.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Good for them. So yeah, I think that this is still. It's like I was telling you all before we started the show. I think that this is so far, quote unquote, the weakest of the seasons of The Boys, but it's
still really
not.
good.
It's still really fucking good. Like it just the showrunners who do this show are doing it so freaking good, and I just I don't have much hate to say about this.
How does he not have some kind of Emmy or something?
He
plays the psychotic. And it was funny. I saw an interview he had recently. He actually gets offended when people in public compare him to Homelander because he's like, I'm not a psychotic person like that.
Yeah, I think
if you offend him now,
if you play a character that fucked up, that's gonna follow you, no matter what you do in life. It happened with Giancarlo Esposito in Breaking Bad. He told a story one time how he was on a plane and a woman just like refused to sit next to him. And it's just,
no.
it's just like, he's like, I'm not that guy, I promise. Like, and she's just like, it's like cursing at him in Spanish or something.
I mean, he does always play a bad guy pretty much.
He always does. Yeah. So I just,
he's going to be an MCU person here soon. We just don't know who. So
I think that this is on, I think it's on the right track. Do I feel like it's rushed a little bit? Yeah. Am I still gonna keep going full speed ahead? Absolutely. So,
moral of the story is Andrew and Ashton need to watch it.
Yeah,
it'll probably be like Game of Thrones when it ends. I'll probably just like binge the whole thing.
We did watch like the first
you watched
season.
Like 2. You've literally only seen 2 or 3 episodes.
I know, like you watched the whole first season or whatever.
You think that was bad?
Because I know, like the first episode is where like A-Train runs through the girlfriend. Right?
It's so much worse
15
than
minutes, man, and it's just like what's funny is like I didn't know what The Boys was when I started watching it, and the moment that happened, I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And if I had known then, like what was to come, I don't know if I would have kept watching it, but now I'm sucked in, so I'm screwed.
And they've managed before we move on, they managed to find ways. They come up with things that I can never think of in my head when it comes to, the very grotesque things they come up with for the show. I'm like, wow, who even sat and thought about that to put that in the show? Like
exactly.
Like,
I don't know if you saw this, but there was a I'm gonna butcher their actual names. I think it's Laszlo something is MM's actor name, his real name, and then Jack Quaid. We're doing who plays Huey. We're doing an interview at one of the fan expos during a panel, and somebody asked them something along the lines of, "What's the worst scene that you filmed in The Boys? The one that you're just like, we went too far." And they said it was in. They both looked at each other and like on verbatim were like, "It's in this season." I don't think we've gotten to it yet because I think the worst we've gotten has been the Vought. That I'm talking. They said gruesome, that like to the point where Jack Quaid was like, "We filmed this scene. I looked at whoever, and I think we went too far." He's like, "It actually made me nauseous." And then
I don't think anything will beat the opening sequence of season 3.
Which one was
the Ant-Man thing?
Yes, that one's.
Nothing
so far,
so far.
That's so far the peak of The Boys of how far they can go. But this one, after all that shit that they've endured on set, having to do these scenes, I can only imagine how far this is gonna go for them to be like, yeah, this made us nauseous. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but right now, I mean, yeah, they're definitely keeping that up. So